Hi everyone, this is Frank Rotz. Continuing on where I left off, I said there would be a month's worth of rigging videos, and I had to take a week off in a nutshell, getting going with the bait pouring. You probably saw those video log posts for that. But back to rigging, I've sold a tremendous amount of tackle the past month, so I'm really pushing hard to get these out there. This is probably maybe the first video I should have done, or one of the first, because it really highlights a lot of what I talk about, which is versatility, economy, functionality, etc. And this is on jig spinners. These baits tended to be more prevalent with prior generations than they are now. They just don't get a lot of respect, and they really should. There's no reason why you shouldn't use these. So I'll go back to where I started. I've been doing a lot of other finesse type worming, and I haven't been using these baits a lot in recent years. But literally, like this Cabela's blade that I have here is a bigger one, and they're hard to find this big anymore. That is actually from my first Cabela's order that I did in 1993. So my history with jig spinners goes way back to that, and picking stuff like that up with smaller blades. In a mom and pop tackle shop I used to work in, I mean, literally, you've got an economical jig head with a light wire hook and a spinner like that. I mean, you can make these for cents, not dollars. And there's a great amount of reason to fish them. A small utility like box like this, when I was fishing, I noticed there were lots of pockets where I could pop a spinnerbait in and get fish where I wouldn't get them on worming and cranking and things like that. So I always carried a small box of these with different combinations, and it's really simple because you can use a natural color like that for clear water, and then, you know, if it's early morning, you put a bright jig head like that and you're done. But basically twister tails like that, there's some that are, I've never even tried these Vibrax, they call them like a spinner jig. Some of them have, this is more for panfish, but like a swim bait type body on them. But just your regular round plain jig heads, that's a pretty old faded pack back in the day, but just 1/8 of an ounce to 1/16 of an ounce. If you're fishing like between 5 and 12 foot deep, will be fine. They're great because you can do so many combinations for so little, and they don't take up much time, or I mean much room. I used to keep them inside my wader pocket, and then that way, instead of carrying all these spinner baits with me, because I was never really big on spinner baits, but I mean, you can't almost be without them. I would just pull this out and it would be fully rigged and absolutely ready to go. But jig spinners are a really simple deal if you're unfamiliar with them. All you do is you purchase the jig head separately. Let me unfasten this here, just like a little safety pin, I guess. Should never be this hard. Almost there. Okay. So this is your regular jig head right here. This is actually the Lindy Exchange where you can change the ball heads on them. I guess I should do a separate video on that, but you don't need any fancy jig head, just a jig head. So you've got your jig head here, and you've got a classic minnow body style swim bait, and you've got this jig spinner. So you've already got a bait that I've talked about that you can fish like this, or a bait that you could rig flat like this, okay, for jigging. Now what you do is when you add this blade to it, it really bumps up your game and adds just a whole level of versatility. I mean, so what you've got is you've got more depth rigging options with less weight and taking up less space than anything you can go out there. Because you could jig these down to, you know, about 15 feet, even 20 feet if you had to, 1/8 of an ounce and less current, and you just kind of snap it back on. Like that. That's it. Safety pin spinners is what a lot of these guys from the older school would call them. And then just like a spinner bait, you rig them right here. So the advantages to these are lots of pluses, a ton of pluses. Economy, versatility. They don't take up a lot of space, which is what a lot of bass fishing tackle does. So if you had it rigged flat like this, it would be a slower fall. You could jig this kind of, which is something I haven't really experimented with in the flat rigging. I've just used them traditionally the way I did years ago. But in a nutshell, the only real drawback you have is a lot of people don't like the short arm because it tends to want to tangle. But you generally run these on lighter spinning gear. Something with a fast tip helps that from tangling. And jig spinners are just awesome. The beetle spin is a proven winner for fish, and the jig spinners are just different variations of those. You can't put anything with more options together for less, is all I can really say about them. If I was fishing them in a season, I guess I could talk about more about what they do. I would probably say out of any family of baits, I've definitely caught more bass shallow on jig spinners than traditional spinner baits. And that's just because they fish in the pockets real good. They tend to work good on clear water fish and pressured fish too. So you just need basically, 5.5 foot light to 6 foot medium. You don't need a long rod, but a long rod will cast them. You don't need a high dollar rod, reel, or line setup. So I mean, it really gets down to the core of economy, functionality, and versatility. In so many of my other videos I've talked about that, but this is really the heart of it. And to be able to fit so much, you can fit, just all these different colors and things in a box like that. And just to have something, maybe you love fishing your spinner baits, but the fish are touchy and they're not hitting that bait with the skirt. You can just pull this out and run these options on your spinning gear and get some fish. They're excellent multi-species producers, even though the emphasis is on largemouth bass rigging. Everything from crappie to walleye to pike will hit these. They work in any body of water, north, south, east, west, in any type of water where you're fishing. I've literally caught fish on these jig spinners, and I may not have caught in rivers, some rivers, but pits, ponds, lakes, you name it. And they're a lot of fun if you're just getting into bass fishing to experiment with. Definitely your first season as you do your research to save money. But if you're getting someone younger into fishing, you can just say, hey, we're going to the tackle store, and then you could say, hey, we're putting all these different kinds of baits together. And it seems like, for family type stuff like that, with to keep costs down and everything like that, they are a real plus there too. So that pretty much sums it up for jig spinners. Give them a try for largemouth, particularly in clear pressured water. And I believe I have one more rigging video to do, and that wraps up a month's worth of rigging. And I've had just a lot of fun doing it. It's been a lot of work, but I've learned a lot. And just a brief update, my channel really has been boosted. I have probably 6,200 more minutes viewing time the last 28 days than I did a year ago. A year ago I had like 12, almost under 1,300. So I mean, I really do appreciate everyone taking the time to watch these videos. And again, you'll be getting posted more if you've been watching this on the video log with getting the bait pouring going. And can't wait to release that, but it's been really too cold to even pour. I thought I'd be starting late. It has been cold here in Northwest Indiana. So if you could, give me that thumbs up for the like and subscribe. And the reason why I did a month's worth of these videos is there's a GoFundMe link at the bottom of this video for some medical costs that my father incurred. And if you can make a donation to that, a small donation, anything, that would be greatly appreciated. But mainly, thank you for watching and the increased sub. Thank you, new subscribers. Thank you for viewing. Please give me that like, that thumbs up as I continue to deliver on bringing you a informative, diverse channel that can give you some money-saving tips. And have fun, everyone out there. Don't catch too many. Take care, and thank you for all that you do.